Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining me today for another video. Today I'm going to be making a baby blanket using some HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl. So if you're going to try this project out, you are going to need a heat press, or a household iron can also be used. So I'm going to show you the whole process today. I'm going to start off by going through the different types of vinyl, what the technique is that we're using, and then I'm going to design the whole thing for you in Cricut Design Space so you can follow along and do your own similar design if you want to. I am just using fonts and features that are available in Cricut Design Space today, so you won't need any external software or anything else for this project. This is the blanket that I'm making, and I'm using 3 different vinyls with this. I've got the glitter, and then I've got 2 different regular heat transfer vinyls. The one is a metallic one, but it's not glitter on the outside. So let's get started straight away. This is the design that I'm going to be working with today, and I'm going to show you how I created this in the next bit of the video. So this is the name of the baby, and you might recognise this from a card that I made recently. This is 3 different layers of HTV, but it's not layered in the traditional sense. We're going to be using a method called the trapping method, and that is basically when each layer of the HTV has its own glue attached to the actual garment or blanket or t-shirt or whatever it is that you're using, rather than being layered over a solid layer of vinyl. So I'm going to take this design apart now and just show you how that works. So I've got the name, and then I have that sliced out of my first offset layer, which I can move down here, and then I've got my outer offset layer here. So each layer of the vinyl will fit into itself and align up absolutely perfectly into each section of the design. It's very important that the vinyl that you choose to do this method with is a hot peel. This method won't work with a cool peel. So when you're buying your vinyl, just make sure that it is a hot peel vinyl. I am going to show you the vinyl that I have got, and my 2 offset layers are hot peel vinyl. My glitter is actually a cool peel, but that doesn't matter too much because that is the top layer and will be going on last. The last thing that I wanted to mention when you are using any sort of HTV and you're planning on layering is that it is not recommended to layer glitter HTV. It will work initially and you'll think it's great and it looks fab and it does look amazing. However, it won't really give you longevity of the final design, because when it's washed it won't be adhered properly and it's more than likely going to come apart in the wash, and that can be really disappointing, especially if you spent a lot of time working on a design or you've made it for a customer. So bear in mind that you cannot layer glitter onto glitter, and it's not recommended to layer any sort of premium vinyl or HTV onto glitter as well. In today's video, I'm going to be using 3 different vinyls. I have got this glittery HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl. You can see how lovely and sparkly that is. I've got 2 other normal premium vinyls. These are baby blue HTV and silver metallic. You can see the sparkle on that is really nice. It's got a lovely sheen to it. These are from MDP Supplies. This one is from GM Crafts. And then we're going to be applying to this baby blanket that I got from my local wholesalers. It's a bit of a raised pattern in the stars, so it's going to be interesting to see how it applies and how it adheres to the blanket. We're going to give it a go today. So let's jump straight into Design Space and get our design sorted out. Just before we move on to the design portion of the video, I'm going to measure up my blanket just so I know roughly what sort of dimensions I'm working with. And initially I was thinking I was going to put the design on here in a diagonal fashion, so his name on the corner here. So I'm going to just measure this up now. I think the name needs to be at least 10 centimetres across. I'm thinking about putting offsets and stuff in there as well. So I know I've got about 15 centimetres to work with. Height wise, I'm thinking about 6 centimetres, so 15 by 6. Okay, so here we are in Design Space, and I've just got a blank canvas on the screen again here. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go over to my text on the left hand side. I've already actually selected my font that I'm going to use. You can see it in the layers panel, and you can see it up here where the drop down box is for the font. So I'm going to be using BFC Frosty Winters because I really like that font at the moment. So I'm just going to type his name in here. And the baby's name is Carter, and then I'm going to stretch that out just using the drag handle to try and keep the proportions the same. So hopefully it's going to come out at roughly the size I want it to be. So I'm thinking if I go for about 12, and then that's going to allow me enough space then to put a offset and stuff around this. So let's just change the colour of this. Now I want to make it as pale of a blue as I can, so let's go just through to advanced and pick up a blue because that is the colour that it's going to be. Next I'm going to put an offset behind it, so let's get an offset on the screen. Okay, let's apply that as it is. Lovely. Okay, so there is my offset applied. I don't want this here, so what I do to counteract that is just move my name to one side. I grab a shape, it doesn't really matter what shape it is. I pop it onto my little bit where I want it to fill, and then I select both of those items and I just weld it together. There's probably a different way of doing it, but this is just the way that I do it, and I just find it easy to do. Whenever you do some sort of adjustment to an offset, it always sends it to the front, as you can see. So if we just click on there, and we can just click on send to back on our right click menu, and then that is there like that. What I need to do is select everything. So you can either do that by dragging over the top and dragging over everything, or you can go up to the top here and just click on select all. Because I've only got the 2 items on the screen, I can easily do that. And what I'm going to do is slice out the actual name from the offset at the back. So you can see at the bottom now, slice is available to us. If we just click on slice, let's move that out of the way. Let's move the offset. And this is the one that we want to get rid of. We don't need that anymore. And then we've got our offset and our name here as well. Okie dokie, so that is done. So when we come to layer these up now, what we're going to do is just layer down the offset first, and then we will put the name on top of it and heat press it again. So that is one thing that we need to do. Next, I'm thinking I'd like to put another offset behind, just so that it's got the 2. So what I'm going to do is put another offset behind this offset, but not as thick as the one that I've got. So I'm going to adjust this little slider here down while it's on the screen, and I can see then how big it's going to be, and that is at 0.423 centimeters, and I'm quite happy with that. So let's apply. There it is. Let's get rid of the black one out of the way for a moment and pop the other piece out of the way also. So next I'm going to fill it in with the shape again. The only reason that I'm filling it in is for my own personal preference. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to, if you're quite happy to just work with it with the holes in it, but I like to be able to see exactly what I'm going to be dealing with, so I prefer to have a full offset just there to work with. Okay, now I'm going to change the colour of this to the silver, and I'm going to now just pop, oh hang on, I need to send that to the back. So if I click on arrange and send to back, then I'm going to get my first offset on there, and I need to hide this pale blue Carter. So let's go up here and hide that. I can now click on select all because I've only got 2 items on the screen. Alright, and now I can come down to slice again. Okay, now that's done, I just need to move my black offset out of the way and my grey offset out of the way. I can get rid of that one because we don't need it. and this is what we're going to be working with. Okay, so that's fine. Now I'm going to bring back, so I'm going to hide my black layer, I'm going to bring back my blue layer, and I'm going to move that one to the front first. I'm now going to pop that on there and line it up perfectly. I will select everything again and I'm going to slice it out again. Alright, let's move that out of the way now. Now this one should move out of the way. Perfect. Let's select the grey carter and we can just delete that. So now we have this really skinny offset layer. We have our black offset layer, which I will change the colour of in a moment actually. And then we've got our blue layer too. So now when we come to cut these out, we'll cut them out separately and then we'll be able to layer each one just onto the blanket and stick them down all individually, each one sticking down directly to the blanket rather than being layered on top of one another. So let me just change the colour of this one here, and I'm thinking I might do that in that blue, and then I'm going to change this one to be the bright blue because that is going to be the glitter just on there. Now I'm going to select all again and group them together. I am happy, I think, with the sizing of it, and I'm going to now go through to make it. Now we've come through to the make it screen. You can see here that we've got exactly what we expected to see. There are 3 mats on the left hand side, so we've got the outer offset, the inner offset and the name. So that's all good. What we need to do, because we are using HTV, is mirror these designs. So if I just cancel this, I'll show you my preferred method of mirroring. What I like to do is select everything that's on the screen. You can either do it again by dragging or go up to the select all at the top. And what I like to do is go to the flip icon, and I like to flip it horizontally. Then it's backwards on the screen. You don't then, when you go through to make it, need to remember to mirror on the next page. And personally, I think that is easier because then I know it's mirrored already. I haven't got to remember to do it when I'm trying to set up my mat or anything like that. So you can see on here, they're already mirrored. I'm going to set up the mat. I'm going to cut all 3 pieces of the vinyl and then I'll come back to you when I'm going to weed. Here's another little trick for you. So I've got my 2 pieces of vinyl here, and what I'm going to do is pop my first piece up in this corner. Pop that onto there, and then I've got my second piece that's going to be my second cut, and I'm going to pop that in the opposite corner on my mat, just there. And then what I'll do is insert my mat this way first, cut this first one out, flip the mat round, insert the mat in that way around, so I've got both cuts on the same mat and I won't have to mess about with reapplying vinyl to my mat when I'm ready to cut my second one. We have a successful cut on these 2. You can see where I've lifted it up when it's been in the machine still, just to check that the cut has actually worked. So we're just going to weed this off now. I'm going to weed it on the mat today because this mat is super sticky. Let's pull all this off. You can see it's cut nicely. And then I've got this inside piece as well on here to pull out. I actually really like weeding HTV because it's so easy to do. It's so much better, I think, than when you're doing an adhesive vinyl. There is the one. So that's our first offset. And then I've got this one. This is the pale blue offset that's actually got the name also cut out into the middle. Haven't done the glitter layer yet, so I'm going to do that once I've done this. Okay, and then let's get the letters out from inside. I'm using a standard Cricut weeding hook today for this because when you are weeding HTV, sometimes you need a little bit more force. And if I was using my pin pen, I'd be worried I was going to snap that really pointy tip off, so I'm using a strong boy today for this. Okay, let's flip it over and peel off our designs. There's the one. There is the second one. Okay, let's cut out the glitter. So now I've got 3 layers of different HTV. Just turned on my Cricut Easy Press. This is the 9x9 Easy Press that I'm using today. So I'm just going to set my temperature by pressing the temperature button, and it needs to go down to 150. And then on this setting, I'm going to take it down on the time all the way down to just 5 seconds. And the reason that I'm putting it on to 5 seconds, even though the press for my particular material is 12 seconds, is because what I'm going to do is put the first layer down onto my blanket, then I'm going to take off the plastic backing. So I don't want to give it its full press time, I just want enough press on there to give it enough heat to release from that backing paper or backing plastic. And then when I do the next layer, I'll give it another 5 seconds. The blanket's got a couple of little plastic clips keeping it together, so I'm just going to snip those off first of all, because I don't want those to melt underneath my press. Just make sure I've got all the bits out as well. There we go, they're out of the way. That little beep means that the Easy Press is ready to go. So I'm going to get my first layer, which is my outer offset, which is this silver one. And the first thing to do before we start heating the vinyl is to actually warm up our blanket a little bit. I'm just going to give it a little warm up on there. It doesn't matter about moving it around at this stage. That's nice and toasty. The next thing that we need to do is grab a lint roller and just go over there. I've just got my lint roller. I'm just going to go over this just to get off any debris, any little bits of cotton or anything like that that might be stuck on there. That's still nice and toasty. Do you remember at the start I said I might put something down here? Just knocked you, sorry. I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to go for the name. I just want to place it so I'm happy with how it looks. I'm not going to measure it, I don't think. So I'm going to give this a 5-second press now. I'm going to apply quite a good pressure to it, as much as I can. Okay, done. Now that's done, let's peel back the carrier sheet. So it's come off perfect. Did you see that little bit lifted there? I don't mind that on this occasion because I'm going to give it further presses with the other pieces of vinyl. So now I've got this piece that I need to put on, and I need to just make sure that I get this in the right place. Okay, I've got that placed now. I can still see a tiny gap this side, so what I can do is just lift it up and replace it however I want it to be. Just want to make sure that I get it perfectly right and in the right spot. Just preventing any sort of stretch occurring on here. So now I'm going to give it another 5 seconds on the press. Okay, the glittered layer is here. We can put that in there. Now you can see the reason why we've cut these out the way that we have, because we need the adhesion straight onto the blanket. We don't want them to be on top of each other. So now let's pop this one down. Okay, I've got my glitter layer on here now and I'm happy with the placement of it. Just a couple of tiny adjustments that need to be made, and then I've now put my pressing mat underneath the single layer of the blanket, so it's directly onto there. I need to try and get as much pressure on this as I can. The glitter layer is a cool peel as well, so it's a little bit different. And I've increased the temperature on my Easy Press to 165 and put it up to 15 seconds. Okay. It looks quite good. You can see the texture of the blanket through the vinyl. So as I said, it's a cool peel. So we're going to give it a little time. Okay, let's have a look and see. Might end up doing another press just to be on the safe side. I'm going to get this carrier sheet off. It hasn't stuck as well as I want it to, so I'm definitely going to give it another press. Let's now give it another really good press. There we go, that is lovely. I love the way that looks. I've just flipped the blanket over and given it a press on the inside as well, just to make sure that it's nicely stuck. The only thing I would say about this blanket is because of the texturing of the stars, you can see them quite heavily through the HTV. So it might be a good idea, if I did another one of these, I think what I'd do is put a little panel on here made out of just a plain fabric, just to apply my actual heat transfer vinyl to. But having said that, I do think it adds to the actual design, and I love this silver. It is really, really shiny, and it looks so much better now it's got the carrier sheet off it. You can see how actually silver that is, whereas other heat transfer vinyls that I've had previously, in the silver they've been quite dull when I finish the application. So I'm really pleased with how this has turned out today. That's it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd love to see you again for the next one. So don't forget to subscribe. Drop me any questions or comments that you might have down below. And all that's left to be said is have a great week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye.